It began with a man named Eli Vance, a quiet computer engineer from Denver who, in 2014, walked into a small police station and claimed something utterly impossible. He said he came from the year 2087. At first, the officers laughed. Eli was calm, articulate, and oddly specific. He didn't act like a delusional man. He spoke about a major blackout in 2025, an AI breakthrough that would reshape the world by 2032, and a strange government division known only as Chronos unit, tasked with regulating temporal activity. Two of the officers who took his statement still remember how he described the world's currency being digitalized, global power grids merging, and the use of quantum anchors to stabilize time loops. They wrote it off as sci-fi nonsense. But 9 years later, when the 2025 blackout actually happened, down to the date he mentioned, Eli's file was quietly pulled from archives. Since then, whispers have circulated among intelligence circles and deep web forums. Was Eli a lucky guesser, a brilliant fraud, or a real traveler displaced from a future that's already unraveling? In this story, we'll uncover leaked testimonies, declassified documents, and chilling coincidences that suggest time travel might not be a theory anymore. 2 days after his bizarre statement to police, Eli Vance vanished. There were no signs of struggle, no phone records, no hotel bookings, just a faint trace of his last location near a decommissioned radar facility outside of Boulder, Colorado. Detectives initially suspected he fled, embarrassed by his claims. But the deeper they looked, the stranger it became. The security cameras at the station glitched precisely between 3:12 a.m. and 3:15 a.m., the window when Eli was last seen walking out. The footage resumed with a single frame, a white flash, followed by static. Technicians confirmed no evidence of tampering. Then came the real shocker. When investigators reviewed Eli's fingerprints, no records existed, not in federal databases, not even under aliases. His social security number, bank data, and work history appeared fabricated, yet everything was functional. The apartment he claimed to rent was filled with neatly organized documents, a custom-built computer unlike any model on the market, and a metal device later described by agents as a miniature gyroscopic engine. The device was taken to an undisclosed government facility and never seen again. Neighbors reported that in the weeks before his disappearance, Eli would often stand on his balcony staring at the sky around midnight. One neighbor recalled him whispering, "They found me too early this time." The investigation was quietly closed. But 3 months later, a classified email leaked from an internal Department of Energy server. The subject line read, "Greater than, E. Vance, confirmed reappearance, Zurich 2036 anomaly site." After Eli Vance's mysterious disappearance, a quiet panic spread through certain corners of the U.S. intelligence community. His name appeared again, not in public databases, but in classified project logs connected to something known only as Project Chronos. Project Chronos was rumored to be a covert research initiative launched in 1989, during the final years of the Cold War. Officially, it didn't exist. Unofficially, it was funded under black budget defense programs and coordinated between NASA, the Department of Energy, and a handful of private contractors under non-disclosure agreements so strict that even the names of the signatories were redacted. According to leaked memos later uploaded to the dark web in 2019, the project's stated goal was to explore subatomic instability as a vehicle for temporal displacement. In simpler terms, time travel. One of the leaked memos, dated June 14, 2003, mentioned the phrase, "Successful short-range displacement achieved, 3.2 seconds backward drift." The report was signed only by initials, EV. That's right, Eli Vance. If authentic, this meant that Eli wasn't just some random man who claimed to be from the future. He had worked on the technology that made time travel possible. And after vanishing in 2014, he may have been pulled, or returned, to the very program he once helped create. When a journalist named Mara Keating tried to investigate Project Chronos in 2018, she vanished too. Her last recorded words during a phone call were chilling. "Greater than, I think they're trying to collapse the loop. If they succeed, none of this will have ever happened." The mention of Zurich 2036 in the leaked government email wasn't random. It referred to what is now called the Zurich incident, a catastrophic temporal event that allegedly occurred in a secret research complex beneath Lake Zurich, Switzerland. Officially, the facility didn't exist. But declassified NATO files from the 2040 archives, later scrubbed and reclassified, describe a multinational project studying temporal resonance anomalies. The site was supposedly managed by a private consortium known as Aerivos Industries, a front company with funding ties to both the U.S. Department of Energy and the European Defense Agency. On March 11, 2036, at precisely 2:46 Coordinated Universal Time, the facility's monitoring systems recorded a massive energy spike equivalent to 3 nuclear detonations. Yet no explosion was ever detected. Instead, witnesses across central Zurich reported a brief distortion in the sky, like the air itself bent. Several digital clocks and satellites lost exactly 7 minutes of recorded time. Inside the facility, 43 researchers disappeared without a trace. And among the names listed in the final access log, retrieved from a corrupted data fragment, was greater than drive, Eli Vance, clearance level Omega. Even stranger, 2 months after the incident, Zurich residents began reporting sightings of a man matching Eli's description wandering near the old city center, wearing the same clothes he'd worn in 2014. Surveillance photos from that week show a tall man with a faded coat and disoriented expression. Analysts confirmed, he hadn't aged a day. One physicist who worked on the European Chronometric Council later explained it this way. Greater than, time didn't just pass differently inside the Zurich anomaly, it looped. For them, 22 years may have been seconds. For us, it was an echo. After the incident, the entire site was flooded with concrete, and Aerivos Industries was dissolved within months. All public references to Chronos and Zurich 2036 were deleted from online archives. But not before one chilling document surfaced online, a page from a destroyed field report labeled greater than Chronos loop status, active. Following the Zurich incident, a mysterious collection of encrypted data began circulating among a small group of digital archivists and whistleblowers. They called it the Echo Files, a supposed compilation of documents, images, and quantum telemetry logs connected to Project Chronos and the global time displacement experiments. The first fragments appeared on a hidden Tor forum in 2039. They were posted by an anonymous user named Reverb. Within hours, the files spread through hacker networks worldwide. Most copies were immediately deleted after triggering strange automatic scripts that wiped entire drives. Those who managed to preserve small sections described what they saw as scientific proof that time has already been altered. One file, labeled ECH09X, contained what appeared to be government communication transcripts between US and Swiss defense agencies. The messages referenced temporal residue readings near Boulder, Colorado, the same area where Eli Vance disappeared in 2014. Another file contained timestamped satellite photos showing faint, circular distortions in atmospheric data, exactly 7 minutes apart. But the most disturbing fragment was a 14-second video titled Vance_log_delta. It showed Eli standing inside a dim metallic chamber, his voice calm but trembling. Greater than, if you're watching this, the loop didn't hold. Chronos isn't just about travel, it's correction. We've done this before, and we keep doing it until the timeline stabilizes, or erases itself. The moment the video surfaced, cybersecurity agencies around the world began shutting down access nodes linked to it. Reverb, the user who posted it, vanished. A week later, a Reddit thread appeared claiming that Reverb's real name was Mara Keating, the journalist who disappeared while investigating Project Chronos 21 years earlier. Whether that's true or another planted distortion remains uncertain. But experts who've examined the metadata of the surviving echo fragments claim something impossible. Each file contains 2 conflicting creation dates, one in the present, and 1 decades in the future. As one digital forensics analyst put it, greater than, it's as if the files were uploaded twice, once by us, and once by someone who already knew we would. By the early 2040s, the events tied to Project Chronos and the Zurich incident had become too big to contain. Intelligence leaks, rogue scientists, and whistleblowers made it impossible to deny that something had gone catastrophically wrong. That's when rumors began about Operation Reset, a covert global effort to rewrite time itself. According to recovered documents from the Echo files, deeper layers, Operation Reset was greenlit in 2044 under the supervision of an international task force known as Aegis Command. Its classified directive: reconstruct the original timeline prior to Chronos' interference. In other words, erase every trace of the time travel experiments, and everyone involved. A leaked technical brief described the plan in chillingly clinical terms. Using what remained of Chronos technology, they would generate a temporal inversion field capable of resetting the continuum to a stable point, the year 2014. The same year Eli Vance appeared. The same year the first ripple began. Witness reports from former Aegis operatives, later published anonymously, painted a darker picture. They claimed the reset wasn't just theoretical, it had already been initiated multiple times. Each attempt, however, created more anomalies. Historical inconsistencies multiplied, people born twice, news headlines that changed overnight, entire weather events that never happened but were still remembered by millions. One fragment from a debrief log read, greater than, reset incomplete. Chronos loop integrity at 67%. Subject V remains unaccounted for. Multiple timeline echoes detected in 2014-2025 range. If true, this would mean we are currently living inside one of those resets, a reconstructed version of reality meant to bury the consequences of Chronos forever. Even more unsettling is a voice recording found in the final batch of echo files, attributed to a high-ranking Aegis scientist identified only as Dr. Rourke. His last words before the file cuts off. Greater than, the loop isn't closing. Every time we erase them, they come back. Maybe time doesn't want to be fixed. On August 29, 2049, a transmission was intercepted by amateur radio operators across North America. It lasted only 47 seconds, broadcast on a dead frequency band 19.87 MHz that hadn't been used since the early 1990s. The message contained no origin signature, no known encryption. The recording began with a faint hum, then a voice. Calm, distorted, and familiar. Greater than, this is Eli Vance, version 13. The loop didn't reset. You're inside Echo 9. For a few seconds, static drowned out the words. When the signal cleared, Eli continued. Greater than, if you remember blackouts, data loss, missing days, those are fractures. You were never meant to see this version of time. They tried to erase Chronos, but every reset leaves residue, memories, déjà vu, dreams. You think they're random. They're not. They're echoes of timelines that died trying to correct themselves. In the final seconds, the tone of his voice shifted, urgent, almost pleading. Greater than, don't look for the origin. There isn't one anymore. Time isn't a line, it's a wound. And every time we touch it, it bleeds. Then the transmission cut out. Hours later, dozens of independent monitoring stations confirmed that the signal didn't come from Earth. Triangulation traced its point of origin to a location 0.4 astronomical units from the planet, roughly the distance between Earth and the Sun. To this day, no government agency has claimed responsibility or offered an explanation. The recording is now known among researchers as the last transmission, the final message from the man who may have been the first and last real-time traveler. And while the world moves on, strange phenomena continue to occur. Clocks skip seconds. People recall events that never happened. Old photos change when reprinted. Maybe Eli was right. Maybe we're all living inside Echo 9. A repaired timeline, imperfect and unstable, forever looping to hide the truth. Because if the hidden truth behind real-time travelers is real, then time didn't move forward. It folded, and we're still trapped inside it.